Everyone, and welcome along to Sunday Market Update. It's great to have your company today. Many of you will be aware that we've made some changes to the format and that will continue today. At this stage, my team for today, I'll have Alexis in a few minutes, followed by Ash, Shukri, then we'll have Lloyd and a video from Gordon, and largely half the team will be in this week, half the team will be in next week. We're having a break over Christmas and New Year, and we come back in the new year. We are going to shorten down to teams of about 4 each week, 3 to 4 each week. So that you guys, if you want to watch people, you can turn up and watch your people when they're on, as opposed to sort of perhaps having people on every week and some perhaps a little bit of apathy around making the effort to come and join us. So I do want to thank you guys for joining us. And if Mike could give some power to Alexis, that would be great. I do want to see if I can grab a screen here. Hang on a second, guys. And just talk about some markets. And look, it's interesting times in markets, and for me, what we're in at the moment is a little indecision time. I will run through some charts and see if I can create some differences to you guys before we hand over to Alexis. And look, one of the things that I find really interesting at the moment is, I'm going to call us in an indecision stage, and what I'm going to do to make my point here is I'm going to run through some of the big trades. Big charts. This is the US 500. Here's a weekly chart. So really about where we were 2 weeks ago on the weekly chart. Certainly still a bullish pattern. Nasdaq. Let's have a look at the weekly chart. About where we were 2 weeks ago. Still a bullish pattern. Still an uptrend. Still a high or low. US dollar index. Let's have a look at that. About where we were 2 weeks ago, and really look at this for 2 weeks on the US dollar. Really, it's done absolutely nothing. You think that's done nothing? Let's have a look at this one, eh? Here's Bitcoin on a weekly chart. That is the week in Bitcoin. That is a week that's waiting for some news, waiting for some drive. Let's have a look at gold. Here's again, I'll blow it up for you guys. Here's the last 2 weeks on gold. Boy, that's a market just waiting for something to deliver on it. So a lot of these things, right, they've either done absolutely nothing on the weekly chart, or they're basically back where they were 2 weeks ago, well, 3 weeks ago, if you like. And still trends are technically in place on these weekly charts because we've got higher highs and higher lows, but there really is a bit of a concern for here. Look, if you have a look at these charts again, we just look through them. If we were to get a bounce around here to the short side, all of a sudden, you wouldn't be quite so convinced. A lot of these weekly charts, that is, still, if you like, higher highs, higher lows in the short term on Bitcoin, but boy, it doesn't look strong. And Nasdaq again, are we going to get another little pullback here on a lower high? Interesting to see. We're going to put a higher high and do the same thing as the pattern. Is the US stock market just immune to everything? Boy, hard to see. But for mine, certainly in markets where we're starting to see. So look at euro. It'll be interesting on a weekly chart. Again, look at this euro on a weekly chart. Real indecision down here, right? I'm not sure. I think there's a reason for indecision around the euro right now. And we are still on this US dollar. This is what's driving this indecision right now. Seeing this pop up, take out long-term ranges, get through this 94 level, which was resistance for the longest time, right? Have a little bit of a look up here. Different world to the one we thought we were living in just a little while ago. This market is looking a little bit different to me. Look, as I said, we're going to change up what we're doing with the show. It's a really important part of it. So today we will have some specialists in from the team. We've got Alexis in next, followed by Ash, followed by Shukri. We've got Lloyd after that and Gordon after that, and we'll have the rest of the team in next week. Julian, I can see you in. If you do want to have a short cross day, just let me know and I will get straight to you. I know there's a bit of stuff going on for the team around the place. So what I'd like to now is get straight to Alexis and get a fundamental view on the market. Alexis, it's a market that's pausing for mine. What's happening fundamentally? Are we going to see something drive us out of this area?
Well, I think consolidation is definitely happening right now. And what I still would like to look at the stuff that we have been looking at all along. And I have been looking at the pound for a while, so I'm just going to share the screen for a quick bit. So when all is in doubt, what I like to look at is try to see the numbers that come up, compare them across the border, right? Because everything else is struggling, I would say, and markets are struggling to open up, economies are struggling to figure out whether or not they should allow people to fly. We have a supply chain issue that's happening globally. It's one of the major worries. If people can't travel, does that mean goods will travel? I know the US is improving its supply chain cargo system. They said that the turnover of cargo sitting there waiting has shortened, and they're working on getting it up to speed. So what I'm curious about is across the board, which economies are still there in the background trying to figure it out, because I think we have moved on into a sentiment view, because I think it's really hard to see where currencies are going out now. It's just, I think what can help me look at where currencies are going is to try to see which governments are which governments are making the job of trying to reconnect with the world and try to figure out where it goes. So why the pound, right? It's had positive quarterly GDP for a while. It's last year, it's there silently trying to sustain. So it's got the highest year-on-year growth despite GDP growth despite the entire COVID situations. It's got a 6.6% year-on-year that is higher than the US, higher than China. I don't know whether it's the way they calculate it, but what really it's interesting for me, it's the things that's happening behind. So a couple of things that's happening behind the scenes, I would say, is things like this, where this is from a local Singapore news. So what has happened recently is UK-Singapore has done a digital trade deal. So currently Singapore has a digital trade deal with New Zealand, Australia, and Singapore, and then now the UK. So what that tells me is something's happening behind in the UK. They're trying to figure out how to recover from this. And then I got a little bit excited when December 8th, which was this is just about 4 days ago, it says that the UK pound sinks to 2021 low on concerns over the new COVID measures. So I do find that the news tends to be a bit more reactive. What happens is the currency will drop, and then the news will come out a reason for the currency dropping. The currency will go up, then the news will come up and report the reason for currency rising. So I got a bit interested. I'm staying interested in the UK because the news has finally said, okay, the pound has sunk to its all-time lows. So which means when we start looking back at charts, I'm going to get ready to see whether is it time in the next week or so will we have that long trade that we have been waiting for, right? So I've been waiting for the pound, I think, for the past three to 4 weeks already. So if we just run across some of the pound pairs, my question is, has pound finally hit its lows? Do we still have space to move lower, or is it time to position ourselves to go long the pound? So first up, I always like to look at the pound dollar. It has bounced off a technical 1.32 number over here. I don't know whether this will indicate a higher low that comes off next week. So that's really what I'll be watching at to see whether we do get that turnaround after hitting its so-called lows, all right? Because it has been reported lows. I'm sure there is an opportunity over here. Pound Aussie, I think it hasn't quite hit its lows, and Aussie seems to be going really strongly right now. But I think the pound Aussie still has a bit of space to fill up here before turning around. So I'll be a bit more careful on pound Aussie, but it looks a bit bearish at the moment. Pound Swiss has recently been testing this 1.21, 1.223 window. It's consolidating, and as always, is after a consolidation, I'm always keen to see where it will break into. So if there is a potential to buy the pound, then it is a question of whether it can get above here or whether it will weaken further and fill in the gap over here. So it really is trying to figure out what the market will do. Now, pound yen is the only one I'm a bit hesitant about. The yen seems really, really strong right now. But again, what interests me is, the way that the pound yen has been bouncing off all these technical levels and a huge consolidation for the past, I think, 2 weeks over here. And the question will be then, all right, does it mean it's time for the, for the pound yen to move up into this space? So as long as it doesn't break below this this level, I am keen to still get ready to long the pound yen, except with a bit of caution because it's a yen pair, right? Pound cat, I'm ignoring. I always feel that the cat has some tie-ins to oil, and oil's wonky at the moment. I'm not sure I understand it, so I'm avoiding it. And pound kiwi has already bounced off its a kind of level over here. So I'm going to be interested to see whether this will be a continuation, or will the kiwis. The kiwi is quite decently strong as well on the economic radar. We have the kiwi over. I have to say that right because I've got Paul, who's from New Zealand here. All right, on the New Zealand, you can see 17.4% in the last year. Very, very, it's like almost double, triple, pounds performance. 2.8% quarterly, which is pretty decent. A very decent inflation rate, and a very decent inflation rate and unemployment rate as well. So I'm not too keen to long the pound kiwi. I still think kiwi has its legs down there. So that is another pair that I'll be a bit more careful going long on. So other than that, that's all for me. Over to you, Paul.
Cheers, Alexis. Thanks for that. Interesting to have a look at the pound. A little bit of carnage over there politically at the moment, to see if that settles down and we get some more direction as that unfolds. Thank you for that. And coming, talking about the Great Britain, next in is Ash coming in from Great Britain. He'll be talking about data and market